Hey everyone, we are back with reJUVEnation. We have a first comer on reJUVEnation, but I'm sure you guys know him well on Twitter. We have Colin joining today to pre-match the Juventus Genoa fixture. Tell us a little bit about how you started watching Juve.
Oh, hi, Monica. Thanks for having me on. How did I start watching Juve? Goes back to the mid 90s, really, for me. Watching guys like Vialli, Ravanelli, the end of Baggio with Juve, and kind of the start of Del Piero's era. So yeah, suppose. Yeah, I suppose I just like it was available for me on TV, and anytime I turned it on, Juve were banging in the goals. Ravanelli, first season I watched it, 30 goals. Vialli was the top scorer in Serie A, and kind of just started from there, and it was the best league in the world at the time. So it was just an easy watch for me.
I feel like a similar story, and you're fortunate enough to see and watch guys like Baggio and so forth. Luckily I was able to watch a little bit of Del Piero, which kind of got me uh, glued into Juve.
Mm.
um, so that's good, and hopefully we continue to be glued in by special players that come about in Juve. I think we can mention one being Dybala seems to be the hot topic these days, and will be for at least up until the summer and potentially another year depending on how his contract goes. But we move into this 30th match day in Serie A, um, with Juventus Genoa facing off. Juventus currently sitting in third on 59 points, fighting for that top four finish. Obviously, the goals have or objectives have changed as the season has progressed. So we're kind of dueling it out between Milan, Atalanta, and Napoli, with Lazio and Roma kind of sitting on the outside looking in. Um, and in terms of Genoa sitting, mid-table-ish at 13th place, I believe, on 32 points, 10 points from the relegation zone. So we can probably say they're safe. So they won't be, fighting to the death against us in terms of in a relegation battle. Um, in terms of the head-to-head, historically, Juventus has been dominant in this fixture, um, winning 21 out of the 31 meetings in all competition. However, from when I started watching Juve, this fixture has always been tough. The wins that we did get, were slim, hard fought wins. Um, and I can remember, those defeats as well to Genoa, the few that have been, recently. So it's always been a tough fixture. Um, Last time out, I think we won 3-1. We'll get into that a little bit as well. But I want to ask you if you want to start with some press conference stuff, or if we want to talk about some storylines first.
Um, I suppose I was reading the press conference Twitter earlier on, and just a couple of interesting ones, points to make that Pirlo made. He said he feels Dybala, who's obviously the hot kind of topic trending all over the place right now, that he's kind of ready for the bench again, and that he won't start. But he made a couple of interesting points. Like he said that he would like to have Ronaldo, Morata, and Dybala on the field at the same time if he gets the opportunity. But we don't know. What else did he say? He said he wants to play Quadrado in the higher position on the wing again.
Yeah, I really love that. I like Quadrado. I think Quadrado has to play regardless. I don't think we have
Yeah.
good enough fullbacks to keep him on the bench. So whether he plays on the right side and Danilo shifts over to the left, or doing, this sort of thing, playing in the 4-4-2, I think he's better suited in this formation than, throwing Kulusevski, McKennie, or Ramsey out of position. Um,
Yeah,
and he's definitely been consistently great this season, Quadrado. And even when he's inconsistent throughout his Juve career, he's come up big in games where they're down to the wire. He scores or assists in the last minutes of the game, to give us the 3 points or whatnot. He always seems to show up. So I never understood his slander, but um, I like him in this 4-4-2 for sure.
yeah, I like him as well. I mean, I commented on the last game that I felt he did really well, but he was just short of that kind of killer shot at times. Like he made one or two really good runs. One that I think we all felt was going to end up in the back of the net. We kind of just turned on the defender at the edge of the box, and he just he shot straight at the keeper, and another one then where he was played through, and he snatched at the shot a little bit and it went
Really
well
wide.
wide, but
Yeah,
he could have checked inside. I think he's just missing that rustiness, or he's missing that sharpness. Sorry, he's a bit rusty, and maybe that'll come with a couple of games.
yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest point to have another it's to really to have another focal point so that we're not going through Chiesa play in and play out. I think it's really it adds another dimension to our play. And I thought that in the Napoli match, Danilo, the way he was overlapping um, to help Quadrado out on that side, I thought that was awesome to see, because we've missed that. I feel like so much, and on the other side you see Alexandro, and he can't go up and down anymore. I don't know why, but he can't offer that, and I feel like Chiesa would benefit um, from someone doing that as well on that side. Um,
Yeah, I think it's easier to do that in a 4-4-2. Obviously, if you're in a 3-5-2, you've just got two wide players, but yeah, I mean, Danilo's cross for Ronaldo's miss in the first couple of seconds of the game was a great example of that overlap. So yeah, I hope it continues.
for sure. He also went on to say Chesney will play in goal. I'm not sure if you mentioned that.
Yeah, you might
Which
have.
has also been a talking point in terms of who should line up between the sticks going forward. Um, it's the debate. We look. I mean, you can't really argue that we look much better when Buffon's back there, and not even in terms of anything in particular, moments in particular. It's just you feel more confident, and if us as fans feel more confident in having a guy like that as a last sort of cushion, then I'm sure these defenders feel that confidence. And we saw that with Danilo's post. Like that was really, that was kind of random. It's not like Buffon, pulled off any miracle save that you
Yeah,
would post a picture of Buffon or anything like that, right? So I thought that was really interesting, Danilo's post about Buffon.
yeah.
Um, maybe I'm looking too into it, but um, I
I think
feel like go
it's
ahead.
worth noting that, yeah, while he didn't pull off any miracle saves, plenty of guys in front of him were making crucial blocks. Some even by accident, just because they were in good positions. And I think that directly kind of can be related to Buffon as well. I mean, Delict pulled off a like a you know a game saving block in the last seconds of the game. I noticed as well Alexandro, he was in a good covering position for Chiellini once, and it just hit him, but he was there. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Yeah, yeah,
that organization, I think, is you just can't replace that. That's that comes with experience, and the guy's obviously in his 40s now. He's got more experience any goalkeeper out there in the world, So and he talks to everyone. I suppose that's the main thing. Everybody loves him. They all listen to him. I never really hear Tech talking or even trying to organize. Um, he can be criticized for that and other things lately, but I suppose it comes back to the agreements they had at the start of the year, and Buffon came back and didn't want to upset the apple cart really by competing with Chesney, and I think he was only supposed to have like it's somewhere between 10 and 15 games in the season. So I think that kind of overrides everything. But like me personally, I want Buffon in there. I don't know how you feel about it.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, like you can just tell that it's the defenders, the whole team, like I heard Buffon, it was the 9th minute mark, and I put out a tweet saying, I've heard Buffon's voice more in 9 minutes than I have, Chesney's in the whole X amount of games, X amount of minutes he's played this season. Um, and I feel like that's crucial. Um, Especially, I would think that Bonucci would get the playing time once he's recovered from COVID, and I think that he's very, Pirlo's very fond of Bonucci because of his ball playing abilities. So, I think that's also really key when Bonucci's playing as well, because I don't think he has the total leadership skills in the back line, and if Chiellini takes a step back as well, having Buffon there, is I think very important. You just feel some sort of extra confidence that
Yeah,
things
yeah,
are gonna be okay if it comes down to Buffon um, trying to come up with something. And of course, he doesn't look as sharp, as quick to a save and things like that. But his positioning, mitigates what could happen a lot of the time. And
yeah,
the saves like then look easier because he's already there to make the save. And then obviously he instructs the guys in front of him as well. Like I saw uh, for the free kick that was in a dangerous position that Napoli had. Buffon was like yelling at Rabiot like at the top of his lungs to try to get him into position and things like that. So um yeah, it's hard to disagree at this point, and it could be a biased moment because of Chesney's recent performances. Um it kind of is easier to agree that Buffon should be in there. But um, my brother, for example, has been stating this for since the beginning of the season, and he even said before the Porto game, I would put Buffon in the net for this game, even like before the first match, the
yeah.
first leg of it. So it's something to think about, and we'll get into a little conversation about uh, second string goalies when we talk about the Genoa match as well. So, considering all of this, in terms of Pirlo's press conference, there was lineups before this press conference came out, but I kind of put one together based on now, Pirlo's words. So it looks towards a 4-4-2, obviously, with Chesney in net, Danilo, Delict, Chiellini, which there was some reports about Demiral, but Pirlo said that he's not ready yet from the start, um, along with Sandro, and then Quadrado, Rabiot, Bentancur, Chiesa, and then Morata, Ronaldo, as he also stated. Dybala is not ready yet. Um, do you agree that's kind of how we'll line up?
I think it kind of yeah. I don't see any other variation besides that. He said Dybala, Arthur, McKennie not from the start basically, but they're kind of ready. Chiellini 100%, Tech 100%. So that's it really. You've another opportunity to see delict with Kielo as well, and I actually thought they did well last time. So besides the penalty, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's kind of what I was calling for beforehand, anyway.
Speaking of opportunities, Genoa seem to line up in a 3-5-2. Their main focuses in this formation being the width through Zappacosta. He's had a decent season since he's joined. Um, Destro, obviously their main man, and Badell in the midfield, kind of
Yeah,
controlling things. Strootman is out of this match for accumulation, I believe, of yellow cards, which would mean, I guess they're reporting that Rovella is gonna be taking his spot in the lineup. Um, and have some discussion about him and the reports coming out. I saw, I think, today or yesterday about him. And then in that lineup, including Perin, which is one of ours, and there's been reports about him as well coming back and joining, rejoining as the backup and so forth. So we can start maybe with Rovella. There was a report saying that, instead of keeping him out on loan for another season with Genoa, that Juve are considering bringing him back this off season to join the first team. I haven't personally watched too much of him. He was okay. I think he played against us in the Coppa Italia. He looked pretty decent. Um, I'm happy that, if he plays against us, I'll have another opportunity to watch him against, top talent.
yeah,
But what do you think of that report? Like, do you really see him growing in this case? For me, I would keep him out on loan, and I don't think he's gonna be a difference maker. Um, depending on the objectives Juventus are trying to achieve. But
yeah.
I feel like you can get rotation players that are even maybe, older, more established, as opposed to, stunting someone's growth by being on the bench majority of the time.
Yeah, these are good points. I suppose the only thing I could think about would be like if you were thinking of bringing Rovella back, they must be confident that they have offers for players in our current midfield that
Mm,
um
it's a good point.
that they need. If they're calling that out, like I mean, I don't know what the source of that Rovella report is, but if it is reliable, then yeah, maybe that's why they'd be thinking. Would they be thinking of it? I like him. I saw him in the cup, and he looks good. He looks like he has a pass. He looks like a busy kind of a player as well. He's well able to tackle, and you know, I mean, you can never really tell. Like you could bring a young guy in, and it's all about like how you introduce him to the team. Like we've seen Fagioli this year. It looked like they were trying to introduce him, and then all of a sudden, no. They had opportunities to do it and chose not to. So so like it's all about how they decide to introduce him. If they're really gonna go with the youth, if they've decided that some of the guys they have now are just not up to it, then take him. But as you said, to take him and then leave him on the bench would be disastrous, because you could see this guy, maybe if he got another season of first team football, potentially breaking into the international setup. He's kind of at that stage where if he makes another good season, he could get in there. So yeah, I mean, a year on the bench would kill him. So I mean, it's really hard to speculate on it. I mean, if they got rid of Rabio or got rid of Bentoncourt, or not that I'm saying I want that, but
Hmm.
if that happened, then yeah, I would say pull that kid back, just in case, because you know unless you have a deal to bring in someone else, then you really don't have any cover. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And I would think that that would be a more financially sound solution, as opposed to, paying someone else out, for another player. So, um, it could happen. Um, Hopefully, if it does happen, it's he's not just sitting on the bench, and there's tons of options ahead of him, because I don't think that would make sense, for anyone. Although he hasn't played too much anyway for Genoa, um, to begin with. So it's a little bit of a weird situation there. But that was reported by Giovanni Albanese. In
okay, that
case anyone was wondering, it was not reported by me or Colin. So
yeah.
we're just here to discuss it. Um,
That's fairly legit source.
yeah,
Um, so yeah. But look, if he hasn't played too much for Genoa, that's a different story. I mean, I'll be totally honest. I don't watch Genoa every week, like so. I wouldn't know, but yeah. I mean, the Perin story is kind of a bit more interesting for me as well. If Buffon retires, and there's been a lot of speculation about that. So, I mean,
but if I'm Perin, this happened once, and I think he's good enough to be a starter. Um, I wouldn't be going there just to sit on the bench. One I guess knock about Perin is just his height. I mean, other than that, he's a pretty decent goalkeeper. He definitely always shows up against Juve.
yeah,
Most goalkeepers do. I don't know if that's something about us or something about them, but
yeah,
but he's had a pretty good season too. So I'm not sure he would even want that for himself. And I think that Juve can get some sort of uh transfer fee, decent money for Perin. Because like I said, I think he's a good goalkeeper. Um so it would be nice to have him, because the luxury of having two goalkeepers that you can rely on, has been the case for Juve. Um, even going back to when Buffon was obviously first goalie, and you had Storari as a backup,
yeah,
and he put in fantastic performances when he was called upon too. And obviously Chesney and Buffon being the backup. But if I was Perin, I wouldn't really want that for myself anyway, especially with
yeah,
the Euros and then World Cup right after. You want to try to fight for your spot on the team too for Italy. I would think anyway. Um,
yeah. He's supposedly wanted by Atalanta. Um, so again, because we own him and there's no amortization left to pay, he'd be pure profit. So, or
exactly.
he could be used as a make weight in a deal. Um, and Atalanta does have players that we're looking at right now.
Hmm.
Gosen's been number one. So, like personally, I agree with you. If I try to look at it from his perspective as a guy who's already been to Juve, it could be a wasting years of your life going back and forth and not really getting anywhere. So at least say if he went to Atalanta, he's more than likely going to start. He's going to be in Europe. He's going to be, these are all good things. So the other option for Juve, I think, was that was mentioned was Audero.
Mm.
Um, and while if you look at things at face value and say, okay, Perin doesn't cost us anything, but he's got the potential to make a lot of money for us. Audero would cost us, I'd say, between maybe 15 million, something like that. But you can set that up over 5 years and it actually doesn't
Cost
cost you that.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it costs you barely anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny. Transfer dealings are just like you can look at them, oh, in, out, this costs this, but it doesn't quite work out like that in real terms. So yeah, I would personally go for Audero.
Yeah, you also need, like I said, a guy who's willing to be a second string. And I don't know, if these guys are, because then they're going from starting positions to, second string at Juve, but um, that might not be their interest. Um, so, I have a feeling if Scamacca is not on the starting 11, predicted starting 11 for Genoa, but I do have a feeling if he does anything good for Genoa, creates any, sort of result that goes against Juve, I can predict that there will be Scamacca talk on the timeline tomorrow if that's the case. So, did we miss out on Scamacca? Um, to begin with, I feel like we'd missed out on a backup striker for sure, but I'm not quite sure if we've missed out on Scamacca himself. Uh, what do you
Yeah.
think about that?
I mean, I think the fee at the time was 25 million, and it was very hard to justify that. You know, January deals are traditionally inflated, so you kind of never know, what the real price would be, because obviously the club you're buying from have to, like Genoa, would have to replace, and again that costs them more to replace. So what's the real price? I think if Juve could get him for 15 in the summer, that might be a better option. But did we miss a number 9? Yeah, of course, definitely. Morata kind of, he was away. He had a virus, so and when he came back, he still hasn't found form. So um, yeah, we definitely missed a number 9. I've seen him once or twice. He scored a few good goals, Scamacca. So yeah, I think his name is going to pop up again. Um, you know, people haven't forgotten.
I mean, he is a youngster, which I don't mind as a backup. He's registered 4 goals and 2 assists in about 10, 11 appearances this season. Um, but to say that he is some sort of talent that we missed out on, I think is a stretch. I don't consider him a key player in this tie, especially, but I do consider our duo, Chiesa and Ronaldo. It's hard to not predict that they're going to be on the score sheet every single game, or they're going to
Yeah,
have some sort of part in our play. And anything that is good about Juve, their gameplay, their matches, their results, it's going to come from one of these two players. Chiesa, 7 goals and 7 assists in Serie A. Ronaldo, 25 goals and 3 assists in Serie A. But it's way more than what these stats are showing. Obviously, especially for Chiesa, in my opinion.
yeah,
Um, you're talking about how deals are broken down, and it's not just a fee and an in and out sort of situation. And I think
yeah,
he's a prime example of that. And his transfer fee and how it was broken up into a loan first, and this and that, and like whatever the case is, I don't know the exact numbers, but it wasn't 60 mil all in one shot. That's the main thing I know about it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and I don't think there's a lot of talk about him on social media, and who called it first that he was going to be good, this good or whatever. Same with sort of Dybala scoring the goal against Napoli. You gave up on him, I didn't, type of thing. Like weird stuff like that on the timeline, I guess.
I'm a true
These
believer, and you're not. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
weird stuff like that on the timeline these days. But you know, I don't think anyone would have said yes. And the fee reported in the beginning of this, the Chiesa rumors were closer to 70 mil. Um, and I don't think anyone would have said yes, he's worth 70 mil, even
Yeah,
60 at that point, considering how bad our midfield has been. And like it felt like another deflection past those midfield issues with another guy up front who can just like mask the problems, because obviously strikers, wingers, they're sexier than buying any other players. Like, you can sell it to the fans when you buy flashier guys, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so I don't quite understand that. I would love to see one person who said um he was worth 70 mil, 60, 70 mil before we witnessed what we have this season.
yeah.
But what are your thoughts on Chiesa, Ronaldo? You can talk about whether you think they've been the MVP this season. They're definitely
Uh,
going to be key in this game, and we'll go through predictions after. But it's going to be one of them on the score or assisting. They're going to be on the game sheet at the end of the game for sure.
yeah, I think so. They usually are. It's usually a safe bet on the Juventus prediction app thing. But yeah, so I'm gonna claim it right here and now. I said Chiesa was gonna do this from the start. I'm joking. The the fee, like, I yeah, I did say at the time I thought the fee was a bit much. If it went as high as 60 to 70 million, but I knew he was good. And I was acutely aware that his situation at Fiorentina had gone bad, you know, in every sense. The fans had turned against him. Comiso, the owner, Fiorentina had basically been holding him, and almost refusing to negotiate with Juve. Juve had been looking for Chiesa for quite a while. Um, and sometimes people forget that Chiesa has been around for, I think, four, nearly 5 seasons already. So even though he's so young,
Hmm.
he started young. So, uh, like with that kind of a situation, it's almost like the OR situation. He was ready to leave, and then he's got a season of kind of, I don't really want to be here. You guys know I don't want to be here. Like, some people are going to be able to put that behind them and push on, and but Chiesa wasn't, and his next couple of seasons he kind of suffered. So yeah, I could see why people would say, okay, last season he wasn't that great for Fiorentina. So how could you expect him to be this good? But if you'd known him before and had been watching him before, maybe you would have had a bit more faith. Who do I think is going to be key in this game? I think, like, it's hard to look beyond Chiesa, because of his running. He's so powerful. He's so direct. He's brave. He's not like a yes man for Ronaldo. Although he's in the last game he's he linked up well with Ronaldo, but he doesn't just kind of get the ball and look straight for Ronaldo.
Yeah,
He does his own thing. His strengths are his wing play, his dribbling's pretty good, and he's very direct. He has shown an eye for a finish. In the past, his finishing in the last couple of games hasn't been there. So I'm hoping he gets back on the score sheet himself this time, and yeah, so I'd be looking for Ronaldo, Chiesa, kind of easy pick.
for sure. Two other guys I'll mention. We already a little bit talked about Quadrado. I think he can be key as well. He's clocked 6 assists in Serie A alone. Um, he's just been, he's been there consistently. I often put, the delivered mail in the mailbox, that emoji when I speak about Quadrado, because I just feel like that is him.
Yeah,
He gets it done, and he loves Juve, and he tries, and he's just like, I don't know how you can hate him. Whatever
yeah.
people do, that's fine.
He makes mistakes, but you kind of always have to do you got to weigh it up. Do you know what I mean? So if a guy makes a mistake and the team covers him, and then he provides an assist for a goal, you kind of have to see the net positive there, because I know sometimes we get caught out because of his mistakes. We get he loses possession in his own half, and he brings pressure on his team. You know, but yeah, the crosses, his crossing is excellent. And we don't really have other sources in the team. I mean, if you look at the left, when Sandro gets down there, no, not so much.
No,
Once in a blue moon, he gets high enough up to cross the ball. Chiesa, uh, he's got a decent cross, but a lot of times he does cut in. So if he's on the other wing, so yeah, you're looking to Quadrado to build the play. Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier, it'd be nice to see him again in the right wing rather than the right wing back. I think it kind of limits the damage. I know a lot of people that have criticized Quadrado have kind of said this from the start, that he's a converted winger, and maybe that's the problem. Do you know what I mean? But look, converting wingers is a popular trend in modern football. So it's
that's
just
a solid point. You know, once again, reactionary Twitter is out on Cancelo today. Apparently, he, was caught out um, in Man City's match against Leeds, and of course that brings about the Danilo Cancelo debate once again, and you know, to my point to that, and what you said basically is, name me a brilliant, wing back in recent times that you were confident in defending. Like, Marcelo always had Ramos right there to cover his tracks.
yeah,
Dani Alves, we witnessed ourselves basically played as a right winger, and he actually slotted in as right winger when we were desperate as well.
yeah,
Um, and I think those are the two main ones that come to mind. I think the only one really that really you can rely up and down both ways, was Philip Lamb, and but he wasn't explosive offensively,
yeah,
because he had that balance. And Lichtsteiner was really like amazing for us, both ways as well. Um, but the real, like, Alexander Arnold has been in the media for the same reason, although he's explosive going forward. So um, I think that's what it is in the modern game these days. So, like,
you may,
who would you replace these guys with? Like,
yeah.
name me someone who can do both, at a top level.
I don't.
Hakimi is another one. Theo Hernandez, just in Serie A, who are
Yeah,
explosive going forward, but they have their struggles defensively.
yeah,
Conte was gonna kill Hakimi at the beginning of the season, and he, benched him for quite a bit as well because of those reasons. So um,
and
at
Teo
this
got
point, I'm just
dominated by
like, what?
Chiesa.
Sorry?
Teo Hernandez got dominated by Chiesa as well.
Yeah.
So you know,
So I don't know. At this point, I don't know what people want. Like, if there was someone, or guys who were doing both consistently at a world class level, then I would be like, yeah, I can see what you're saying in terms of Cuadrado, but pretty much everyone, who's lethal going forward from the wing back position, that's compromising their defensive play.
yeah,
I do want to speak about Morata. So Pirlo mentioned today, I think in the press conference, that he thought that Morata did well against Napoli, and maybe I'm in the minority, but I really felt that way as well. Um, he was really active in the build-up, early on, especially. He was, dropping really deep, collecting the ball, um, passing it out wide, and doing kind of like what a center forward should be doing. Um, However, I still, in the back of my mind is, this guy's a striker. He does need to score at the end of the day. Um,
yeah,
which, we used to talk about Mandzukic in the same kind of breath, in terms of, he does all this hard work for the team, but he needs to score as well at the end of the day. Kind of what Pirlo said too. He needs a goal, but he
Yeah.
was doing great work. Um, a lot of people exploded, I think, when he held the ball too long, and Chiesa made a run, and it was, I mean, Chiesa ended up shooting at the goalie, but he was offside because
He's
Morata took too
offside.
long. Um, but other than that, I felt that he was much better than his recent games. Hoping he can get a goal to break his duck again, but he's had an impressive season overall in Serie A, 7 goals, 9 assists. Yeah, I don't know his total numbers, but above 10, I think, for both in terms of
Yeah.
incorporating the Serie A and the Champions League and Copa as well. I think he scored in the Super Cup too.
Mm.
Um, so I mean, he's had a great season, and when Ronaldo was out, and he kept testing positive, and it was even a longer, extensive period out because of COVID. Um, we didn't get so many great results in that time frame, but Morata was like always on the score sheet or always trying to make something happen when Ronaldo was out. Um, but he goes up and down. What do you think about him? And I think he really needs a goal.
Yeah.
I think that if we make, as long as we make top four, we should extend his loan because who are you gonna get for? You're gonna get Milik for 12 million. I would personally rather get 10 mil, or even if you can put it a little bit lower for the second year of the loan. I would get Morata back.
Yeah. Just a couple of points there. Like, I mean, his form and why does it dip? I think he's got there's some mental issues going on there. He's supposedly very kind of sensitive, and it kind of goes in with his fiery character. Like, so we saw him against Lazio, and he scored a great goal, and he went to the cameras and celebrated, and and told everybody, no one gives up here, and he was very authoritative there. But in the games coming afterwards, he lost it. Like, he didn't seem to be able to just keep that going. Now, I think his performances have picked up a bit, and Pirlo kind of said it. I felt at the time that his job as a number nine, holding the ball up, distributing it to the other players, to kind of build the attack. He was doing that fairly well, but he lacks that bit of sharpness, and you can see it in his touch as well. His touch and his passing would never be great. Do you know what I mean? I would never be too harsh on Morata for passing, because that's not his game. Do you know what I mean? He's never been that player. So, but in terms of finishing and kind of uh linking up with his his strike partners and his touch in general, I think that's still off. I think there's still something going on there that it's hard to put your finger on. It's not just his health right now, because he should be clear of that virus, and he should be back to full health, so we can't really point the finger at that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, a goal is always the best solution for a striker. But yeah, so I mean, would I replace him at the end of the year? Certainly not with Milik. Not a hope. That guy, I don't know who thought that was a good idea. Uh, I've seen quite a few journalists and ex-players come out. I think Angelo Delivio said it, and that he thought Milik was a good option for Juve. I don't think so. He's
I
he's gone
think
to France now, isn't it?
yes,
Marseille.
Marseille. I think.
So, I mean, you can never really judge. Like, he barely played a game before that move to Marseille. So, and you can never really judge based on the French league, unfortunately. So the level is just not kind of up to not up to Italy anyway. So yeah, I mean, I keep looking.
100%. I'd agree there. Um, last time out when we played Genoa, Dybala opened the scoring, and Ronaldo followed up with two penalty goals. and we ended up winning the match 3-1. Um, Sturaro, I think, scored against us. Um, Although we controlled 70% of the possession on that day, we took 10 shots on goal. They took 2 shots on goal and, ended up with one of them on the score sheet, um, making things, difficult for us as usual. And, as we talk about the approach to the match and, in terms of us and Genoa, this seems to be this seems to be the theme. Us having 10 shots on goal, them having two. We score one in open play, and they score as many in open play with 2 shots on target. And it seems, I don't know why, we can't finish our chances these days. We have 58 goals for, 26 against, which still puts us in the position for best defense in Serie A,
Yeah.
um, just by 1 goal to Inter having 27 against. We're about third and fourth, back and forth in shots per game and shots on target per game, which we've improved because in the beginning of the season, up until like the halfway point, we were like in the sixth place mark. Um, Early on, when I had um, Carlo Garganese on, we spoke about how we've had all this possession, yet we're sixth in chances created and this and that. So we have improved, and I think it does show as probably the guys are coming back to health, and Pirlo experiencing more time with the squad. But way too much possession for what we show, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And a guy like Destro, their main man, having 10 goals, 1 assist in Serie A, um, linking up with a few decent pieces that Genoa have. You know, at the end of the day, I always feel worried that the team is going to score. We're going to dominate the game. Get a goal or two if we're lucky, but the other team will nick one as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's always important to get the first goal. I mean, that's just football. Like, I mean, Juve will be, because we can keep possession quite well, will be very good at controlling the game. But again, you don't control a game unless you control the scoreboard. So, like possession, uh, having 60 odd percent possession, it's good. But like, if a team is set up with two banks of four, low block against you, and you can't bring them out enough to actually get through them, or get a pass to the player who's between the lines, then you're kind of caught out. And teams like Genoa will look at Juve and they'll be like, okay, well, look at how many crosses they put in this year. That's where their attack is going to come from. So we'll just sit low. We'll make sure we've got two guys on each wing to cover, and that should be okay. I mean, we saw it in the Champions League with Porto. In fact, they had six across the back at the time, but they doubled up on each wing, so Quadrado couldn't get anywhere. And that kind of works against Juve. But I mean,
So in summary, you're saying that we're very predictable.
very predictable. Yeah, I mean, we know what way they're going to play it because we're limited in midfield. So, while I praised Rabiot and Bentancur last time out, um, because they kept the ball moving, there was still no penetration to the passing. They kept the ball moving very well with one and two touch uh, football basically, and at least you limit the amount of time the opposition has to get set in their low block if you keep it moving quickly, and again, that creates space for you on the wings. But if it's slow, um, we could be in trouble. And Juve have been, for most of the season, to be honest, Juve have been slow, so it's not it's not been quick enough, and yeah, so the real challenge is for them to build on what they did last time, and keep the tempo of the game up. because you have a chance. Um, I mean, otherwise, I mean, you can get lucky. You can maybe their defense, the quality of their defense isn't going to be up to scratch. Maybe Quadrado or Chiesa are going to be able to take on guys in a 1v1 situation, and maybe they'll be able to get the crosses in or break down Genoa that way. But yeah, I mean, if Genoa are patient, if they can, you know, keep their shape properly defensively, then it could be a tough day for Juve.
I mean, at the end of the day, Juventus has more quality than Genoa, but
Yeah,
Inter had more quality than Sassuolo. Inter had more quality than Parma. I think there was, Inter's been sitting back against every team, and they don't care, whether they're home or away. They win, and they don't care which way they win. Which I feel like the identity of this Juve has changed toward caring what you're watching now. Like you have to
yeah,
care of the product on the field, and has it even been better? I mean, I feel like you can debate whether it's been better anyway. Um, and if it has been a bit better, the results are should be the only thing that matters, especially for Juve, which has been literally their like dying tradition is, winning is the only thing that matters. So, um, and I get that Agnelli's trying to, revision this team and brand, uh, to be this more attractive,
yeah,
whatever. But, you know, no one's gonna care about Juve if we can't make it to the round of 16 in Champions League.
yeah,
So I mean, did you look better against Porto? I I don't know. I'm really against this way of um this new way of I don't know, revisioning the team. I don't know even what to call it, but
yeah,
um you know, would I be upset if we sat back against Genoa and won 2-0? No, but
yeah,
people would be, which I don't understand. They Inter sat back against a depleted Sassuolo team, um, but they won 2-1, and no one remembers that they that they sat back against the team. They just remember that that's like their 10th win in a row or something, and they're gonna get the title at the end of the season because of another win. So, um, you know, I don't
mm,
understand all of this possession type of play, and I know that it's more of a modern thing as well. But in recent times, just today, Man City controlled like 75% of the ball. Leeds had two shots, two goals,
yeah,
and then just midweek, the same situation between Bayern Munich and PSG. Although that tie I don't think is over yet, but that's a massive result for, let's just say it
PSG.
how it is, a mediocre PSG team. Like, let's be real. Besides Neymar and Mbappe, I guess you can argue a little bit of Di Maria, but that was not a good team that I saw that was put out. So um, I think there's just so much obsession with that. But having said that, um, one thing I do like, Genoa are gonna play a 3-5-2 reportedly, and they play most of their possession like similarly to Juventus on the wings. So I really hope that Danilo and Sandro line up as our defenders back there, because I think that'll help and mitigate the situation. And like you said, Quadrado being a little bit further up will help with that, and minimize errors back there.
Yeah,
So, all in all, I'll give you some stats, and then you can tell me your prediction. I don't know, based on those stats or whatever you think of them. So Juventus are undefeated in their last 16 home matches against Genoa in all competitions. Juventus have scored at least 2 goals in their last 4 matches against Genoa in all competitions. So um, it really sounds like there'll be, you know, at least 1 or 2 goals in this match. Um, Me personally, I'm going 3-1 for Juve. Uh, and my reasoning for that is I think we're gonna lose points against Atalanta. So I think we're gonna, after a win, I think we gain confidence, and after a big win, it seems to be the theme in the season. After we get a result that no one thinks we're gonna achieve, we go on, one more game of a run with good play and a good result, which I think will be against Genoa, and then we take steps backwards, and we can't seem to get three results in a row. Um,
Yeah.
so I think this will be the two, and then um, I think that Atalanta game will fall back a little bit again because I just don't think they have the consistency, and they've shown it all season. I want to say that Ronaldo will be on the score sheet for sure. I'm not sure who else. Dybala. I think it was in 2017. Um, Secured a hat trick. We were losing 2-0 to Genoa. He got a hat trick that game. I can see him, potentially getting another result off the bench.
Yeah.
But you said early goal. Early goal is going to be key. I think if we do get an early goal, we'll be able to score 3 goals. Um, but I also do think that we're going to concede. What's your take on it?
Uh, Look, it's a very fair assessment. Again, yeah, for me, early goal, but I'm going to go 4-1. I'm not the best at predictions, and I don't give them much thought. I'll be honest. I'm kind of
You don't
like
give the Bianconeri YYZ any points in our Juventus game room.
I do, but like if I make a prediction on that, and it doesn't work out, I'm very likely to just leave it out the next time. I'll be like, oh, I'm not doing that again. I got too confident in myself there, or I invest too much energy in it.
Four
But
one is pretty confident.
that's pretty confident, yeah. So I usually go a bit crazy with the predictions, but yeah. I mean, if we get the early goal, I mean, I think we're going to see Dybala come on. I hope he comes on with a half hour to go, minimum, and like he can have a big impact in this game. If Chiesa is going well, I imagine Dybala will come on for Morata, so we'll have Ronaldo there. You could have Chiesa, Dybala, Ronaldo on the field at the same time. So that's good. I mean, it all hinges on this midfield. If they keep doing what they've done in the last game, just keep the ball moving quickly. You don't have to play killer through balls. Just if you know you're not going to do it, just keep it moving quickly, and hope that works. So yeah, I think 4-1 is a good assessment. So
I hope so. Um,
yeah.
I'm gonna go with Ronaldo 2 goals, and I think Morata's gonna finally break his ducks, and I hope so, because
Mm,
that's just beneficial for both him and Juve when he's confident, he's on it. Um, so I want to end off with something um more, what's the word, optimistic, positive, um as opposed to the feelings that we're experiencing this season. So I don't want to put you on the spot, so I'll tell you mine first, but I want to hear a Juventus Genoa memory that you have. Doesn't have to be like Juventus being the home team, it could just be in the fixture in itself. um for me, when I think about this fixture, I was actually trying to remember, what's is there something that sticks out? And the only thing I could really think of is that Pirlo free kick that just sticks out like a sore thumb. In 2014, in the 89th minute, Pirlo scored a beautiful free kick, went top corner, and he started, like celebrating already, like moving away, running away from the ball after he kicked it because he knew it was going in. I don't know if you recall that one, but um, that's my
yeah.
memory.
I don't have any kind of vivid landmark memories of Genoa games. I tend to look at Genoa games as get in, get the result, and get out.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Well, that one went down to the wire. 89th minute, we were 0-0, and of course, the set piece, master at the time for us, Pirlo, picked it out of nothing as he often does. That was my memory, and an incredible goal in, I think it was Conte's last season, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, when we exited early in the Europa League, Champions League and Europa League. Um but yeah, that was my memory. Um, so we'll wrap up here. Hopefully, I'll go with your prediction over mine. If we can score 4 goals, that'll be fantastic. So if one of us gets it, it'll earn another 3 points. Which with that Atalanta match coming up, this is a massive game because they're all worth the same.
Yeah,
So it doesn't matter the at the end of the day, and then it weighs more with that match coming up because at this point we're rivals, fighting for the top 4. So
yeah,
this one needs to get the we need to get the job done here. It'll be a tough one though, I think. As like you said, they most often are against Genoa. But I want to thank you for joining me. Um,
well, thanks very much for having me.
yeah, you came on short notice, so I appreciate that. And it's always Forza Juve, and hopefully, uh, we are one step closer to securing that top 4, so that we
Hmm.
can we can go back to the top where we belong in the coming seasons. Thanks again, Colin.
You're welcome.